Hello everyone, this is Vikas speaking. Today I am going to deliver lecture on curriculum design, development and assessment. Let me start with the importance of this particular session as far as this training program is concerned. Uh, the part 1 is mainly going to deal with curriculum design and higher education teachers, where I would like to emphasize upon the importance of this type of training for higher education teachers. Higher education teachers usually join colleges, universities after completing their PG degree along with JRF NET or simply NET, and they face the interview and they're appointed. And one fine day they're asked to go ahead with teaching in the class, where on the basis of their domain knowledge they start teaching. Basically what happens is that we don't have any formal education in teaching like the B.Ed or M.Ed teachers have, and on the basis of the knowledge which we have acquired being a student of that particular domain, we go in for taking the classes straight away on day one. So this means we are training the students without undergoing the training of teaching, and that's where this type of training goes in for fulfilling the gaps as far as higher education teachers are concerned. I would like to share my experience with you. Whenever I see young teachers going to the class, the very first thing is that they are not able to get the attention of the students in the class. Neither they know what they are delivering. They will start with the topic and then they start bombardment of the knowledge related to that particular topic on the student without taking into consideration whether the student is understanding something or not. Hence, it is important that higher education teachers, especially the young teachers who are having experience less than 5 years, must undergo this type of a training where they understand the meaning of curriculum and especially the design of curriculum, how it is to be implemented, and what type of outcomes they expect when they go to the class from the students after they have finished off with the 1 hour or 2 hours class in the college. So if you see this, student learning is at the center. Curriculum is designed, which is the circle which is being shown at the back. Curriculum is being supported by instructions, which we give in the class by taking classes. And then we go in for assessing the students in the form of some quiz or presentations or written examinations, as maybe the structure of our course. And ultimately we want to bring a learning in the student at the end of say 20 hours course or a 40 hours course, depending upon whether it is a trimester system or a semester system going on in the university. So what exactly is curriculum? So according to some, it may be a set of subjects. So if you talk of a BCom course, you teach them a set of subjects for 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, you say he is a BCom graduate. It may be the content. Say for example, if it is only one subject or a certificate program, it may be a content of that particular subject, which may be termed as a curriculum. It may be a program of studies, right? Say for example, MBA has a curriculum, MCA has a curriculum. So it may be a program of studies. It may be a set of materials which you would like that student should undergo. It may be a sequence of courses, one course after the another, then the third, and then after 6 months he or she may be landing up in a diploma. It may be a course of study, or it may be a set of performance objectives which you try to give to the students and expect that they should complete it. But the formal definition of curriculum goes like this. Curriculum is a comprehensive plan for an educational or a training program or a course to offer new improved manpower to fulfill the rising needs of a dynamic society. Now let's try and understand this particular definition. we are talking about few areas in this. We are saying it's a comprehensive plan for an educational oblique training program. So it may be a set of instructions which you may be giving in an educational program, or it may be a set of instructions which you are giving in a training program. And then the idea of having these types of instructions in an educational program or a training program is that we want to offer new or improved manpower to fulfill the rising needs of a dynamic society. Let's try to link it with the present scenario. Now that you are undergoing this particular training and we are imparting education through online medium, we will try to reach you through this particular medium because it is the need of the hour. COVID-19 is not allowing us to have face-to-face interaction. Hence, we had to undergo ourselves to develop ourselves of how to prepare these types of instruction material and reach to you. Now, there can be a formal training program on how to go for online teaching, right? So it may be it may start from learning about a particular subject, creating media content related to that particular subject, recording the programs, looking for a suitable platform to upload the recordings and reaching the mass media, and thereby trying to evaluate them through a particular platform so as to assess whether the students or the participants have learned about it or not, right? So the whole idea is that we want to bring upon a transformation in the manpower, understanding that the old skills are no longer helpful in the present scenario, and somewhere new skills are required to bring about that particular change in the manpower so that we are able to use new techniques and still continue with our profession of teaching. That's how you can take this curriculum definition for understanding. If we move further, the most simplified definition of curriculum is the subject comprising a course of study at school or university or colleges. And when you go to the class on the very first day, you take the photocopy of the syllabi of your subject, and then you go in for distributing the copies to them, or you distribute a soft copy to them so that the student has a record of what all topics are to be covered by the teacher and what all he will be evaluated from. So this is the simplest of the definition of curriculum as we all understand. Let's move ahead with understanding the kinds of curriculum, and you will appreciate why we are offering different courses and how these courses have a different type of syllabi and what is the outcome of that particular course at the end when the student finishes off with that particular course by undergoing the assessment. So first is the social curriculum, and social curriculum means to teach students how to interact and empathize with one another. It is how to ensure students feel good about themselves and their relationships. And this curriculum also takes into account the learning of it also takes into account when students learn a social curriculum, they are socially aware and emotionally intelligent. So the idea is that how a student should behave in the society and how his interaction should be there with the people around him, whether it is his peers or teachers or parents or relatives. This curriculum takes into account those types of things. Now, this may not be taught at the university level, but it is inbuilt, and parents teach that. Students also teach teachers also teach our students at the school level, and that's how this curriculum is imparted. Next is information processing. So in information processing, as a student takes in information, that information is first briefly stored as a sensory storage and then move to either a short-term or working memory, and then either it is remembered or it is forgotten. Now, if it is remembered, it sometimes goes into long-term memory of the student in the form of semantic memories. So those may be the concepts or general information. It may be in the form of procedural memory. Say, for example, the students of mathematics would try to understand the iterations and will try to understand the procedure of solving a particular problem. Or it may get stored in the form of images in the mind. Say, for example, when you teach biology and you draw a cell structure, the student tries to memorize that cell structure in the form of a image in his mind. So information processing, when we talk of, it is happening in different manners, and if it happens properly, we find that student shows some outcome after that information is processed in the mind, and also this information is stored in the mind of the student, as we discussed. So it may be in the in the form of semantic memories, it may be in the form of procedural memory, or it may be in the form of images. Moving ahead, if we move to personalist curriculum, this is a curriculum focusing on the development of an individual. So sometimes we have to develop an individual development program so as to improve upon the personality of a student, or if he or she is a slow learner, then we have to go in for having some tutorials or makeup classes where we try to reach to the level of the student and try to make him understand the nitty-gritties of the concept. Now, this type of curriculum is sometimes emphasized mainly because in group learning, every individual doesn't learn with the same pace. So, understanding this concept, sometimes the personalist curriculum is required so that we can bring about some changes at the individual level, and student is able to learn by extra care which we try to give to them. Last, uh, we talk of behavioral curriculum. This approach is based on blueprint where goals and objectives are specified. Contents and activities are arranged to match specific objectives. The learning outcomes are evaluated in terms of goals and objectives that are set in the beginning. Now, primarily, if you see, we go by this particular approach when we are delivering a course in the area of management or in the area of social sciences, where we set up some goals, we deliver instructions to the students, and at the end, we find whether we have been able to achieve those outcomes which we wanted to achieve in the student or not. Let me take an example of the area of management where I happen to be the student of this particular subject. Uh, in every subject of management, the emphasis is on analytical skills and problem solving skills. So we give them situations and exercises where analytical and problem solving skills have to be applied, and thereby we find whether we have been able to bring that type of learning outcome among the students or not. So as a teacher, if you have to bring about a behavioral change in the students, you have to go in for designing exercises and exercises and assignments of that type by which the student undergoes, and then comes up with the type of outcomes which you expect them as teacher. Further moving on, orientations to curriculum can be child-centered, it can be society-centered, it can be knowledge-centered, and it can be eclectic. That means driving ideas, styles, or taste from broad range of sources. The very first item, that is child-centered. Every curriculum has to be student-centered so that he or she learns. It is society-centered because ultimately the child is a part of society and he has to learn how to live in that particular society and interact with the society. Knowledge-centered curriculum has to go in for developing the domain knowledge of the student so that he learns something about it. So if you are a student of medicine, you should know nitty-gritties of the medicine which you have to give to the patient to cure them, and hence you should be having sufficient knowledge of diagnosing the diseases and treating the diseases. Eclectic, which means driving ideas, styles, or taste from broad range of sources. So ultimately, a human being, when he undergoes a particular type of program, and he starts working. It is not that he is only dependent on the degree which he has achieved, but then he also tries to derive ideas from the society and the environment around him. And as a human being, he then starts interacting with the society and environment as a whole. So it doesn't mean that if you are a doctor, you don't know how to do calculations. You will be doing calculations also. You will be treating the patients also. You are also a social human being. So you will also try to solve the problems of the society. You will also try to teach your own children, right? So this is the final outcome which we try to bring in the human being once we talk of eclectic type of curriculum. What's the education philosophy? Because when we are talking of curriculum development, this is important that we should understand the philosophy of education as educationists. What is knowledge and what is understanding? What is worth knowing? What does it mean to learn? How do you know that the learning has taken place? What should be the role of a teacher? And what should be the role of a student? What is the ultimate purpose of education? What are the core education values? These are some of the questions which I leave to you to answer so that you appreciate the essence of teaching, and each one of us has a role to play. In the next session, I will be covering up the details of the curriculum because this whole training is focusing upon curriculum development. So it's important for us to know the types of curriculum. So we'll be talking of overt, explicit or written curriculum, societal curriculum, hidden or covert curriculum, the null curriculum, phantom curriculum, concomitant curriculum, and rhetorical curriculum. So see you in part 2. Bye for now.